So in this session, we are going to discuss about the square wave and pulse generator. So the square wave and pulse generators are used to generate the square wave and pulse rectangular pulses. So we can also use them as frequently as we can use it as a function generator also. It is also having the same operations as a function generator, and it is also most oftenly used same as a substitute to the function generator. So these are mainly used as a test instruments in the electrical and electronic laboratories. So they will generate the rectangular pulses and square wave, which are used to test the logic circuits, and they are also made use of it in the transient response testing of the amplifiers also. And when we are using the square wave and pulse wave generator as a measuring device in combination with the CRO, it is used to display the waveform either at the output or at some other points of the circuit which is under test. So the waveform which is displayed will have both qualitative and quantitative information of the system which is under the test. The fundamental difference between a pulse and square wave generator is in the duty cycle. Duty cycle is defined as the ratio of pulse width to the pulse period. That is the T on to the T on plus TF. That is total on time to the total time period. So if we are having a duty cycle of 50%, then it is generating a square wave. If it is having a non 50% duty cycle, then the output is called as a rectangular pulse. So this is the basic block diagram of a square wave and pulse wave generator. So in this square wave and pulse wave generator, we are having a frequency control knob. This frequency control knob is used for changing the frequency of the waveform which is generated. So we can also change this frequency by the frequency knob which is present on the front dial of the front panel of the uh, instrument. We can vary it linearly. Manually, we can adjust the frequency from 1 Hz to 10 megahertz in 7 decade steps. So with a step size of 100 Hz. So we can vary the frequency of the waveform which is generated in 7 decade steps. With a step size of 100 Hz, we can vary the frequency from 1 Hz to 10 megahertz. Next, in this block diagram, first one is frequency control. We have understood about what the how it is changing the frequency, right? Next, we also have another control called symmetric control. So this symmetric control is used to provide the duty cycle. This symmetric control provides the duty cycle to the instrument. Next, we have upper constant current source and lower constant current source. So these two current sources are used for generating the charging and discharging of this ramp capacitor. They generate the charging and discharging of this ramp capacitor. And we also have a switching circuit. This switching circuit is used for connecting either to the upper constant current source or to the lower constant current source. It connects the ramp capacitor either to the upper current source or lower current source. Next, we have a Schmitt trigger. So based on the charging and discharging of the ramp capacitor, Schmitt trigger changes its output from low to high state or high to low state. Next, we also have a sync circuit here. So this sync circuit is used to provide synchronization with the external signals. So when we are applying external signals for synchronization, they produce the trigger output, pulses are generated. Next, whenever we are not using this sync circuit, then this instrument will be acting as a regenerating generator. When sync is not connected, it acts as a regenerating generator. Next, so this Schmitt trigger will be providing three outputs. One is 600 ohm output, other one is 50 ohm output, and the last one is trigger output. So when Schmitt trigger output is connected to the 600 output by using an output amplifier, so whatever the output is generated by the Schmitt trigger is amplified, and we can also change the amplitude of the waveform generated with an external knob called amplitude knob. And here 600 ohm output will be providing different rise time and fall time of 70 nanoseconds. It provides rise time and fall time of 70 nanoseconds with a peak amplitude of 30 volts. Next, we have a 50 ohm output. This 50 ohm output can be generated by an output amplifier here, and we are also having a step attenuator. This step attenuator is used to attenuate the output, and it is used to produce a 5 volts peak amplitude with 5 nanoseconds rise time and fall time. So in this knob, it should reduce the level of the output. So for reducing the level of the output, we are connecting it to a step attenuator which lowers the output level of the amplitude, and it provides the low levels of the output. Next, this mid-trigger output is given to the trigger output circuit. It will differentiate the square wave pulses from this mid-trigger, and with the help of a trigger polarity, it will invert the pulses and generates a positive going trigger pulse. It will generate a positive going trigger pulse. Next, we also have a multiplier here. This multiplier is used for changing the ramp capacitor. This multiplier is used for changing the ramp capacitor in decade steps. So this is about the block diagram of square wave and pulse wave generator. Next. So let us see here. Once again, I am repeating all the points. So the basic circuit of a pulse generation is the asymmetrical multivibrator. So pulse and square wave generator is called as an asymmetrical multivibrator because it is generating rectangular pulses and also square pulses. It is called as an asymmetrical multivibrator. The frequency range of the instrument is covered in 7 decade steps from 1 Hz to 10 MHz with a linearly calibrated dial for continuous adjustment on all the ranges. We have already discussed about this point. Next, the duty cycle of an instrument can be varied from 25% to 75%. By using the symmetry knob here, we can vary the duty cycle of the instrument from 25% to the 75%. Next, so it is producing, Smith trigger is producing two independent outputs, 50 ohm source output and 600 ohm source output. So this 50 ohm source output is providing pulses with a rise time and fall time of 5 nanoseconds and 5 volts peak amplitude, and 600 ohm source is supplying pulses with rise time and fall time of 70 nanoseconds and 30 volts peak amplitude. Next. So this instrument may be operated as a pre-running generator, or it can be synchronized with the external signals. So this instrument can be operated either as a pre-running generator or it can be synchronized with external signals. So when we are applying external signals for triggering, then it will be operating in the synchronization mode. When we are not connecting external signals, internally triggers are generated with the help of the Smith trigger. Next, so the generated trigger output pulses are available when external signals are synchronized. When external signals are synchronized, it is generating trigger pulses. Next, so this is the basic generating loop which is used for generating the pulses. This is the basic generating loop which is used for generating the pulses. So we have constant current source, upper constant current source and lower constant current source. We are also having a switching circuit, ramp capacitor, Smith trigger. We'll see this. So these are the I1 and I2 currents generated by the upper constant current source is I1, lower constant current source is I2. They are having the time period as T1 on time and T2 off time for the I1 current, and this is the T1 off time for I2 current and T2 is the on time for the I2 current. So whenever the upper constant current source is connected to the ramp capacitor by using the switching circuit, it generates some current so that the capacitor starts charging and it produces a positive peak voltage, and when it reaches a capacitance voltage capital E, small e, sorry, I repeat again. When upper constant current source is connected to the ramp capacitor, it starts charging, and whenever the capacitor starts charging and reaches a maximum value small e, then the Smith trigger will change its state from high to low state, and again that change of state of the Smith trigger will be given to the switching circuit. Now the switching circuit will connect the ramp capacitor to the lower constant current source. Now the lower constant current source will provide the reverse current which is used to discharge the capacitor, and while it is discharging, when it reaches a zero value, again the Smith trigger changes its state from low to high. Again it will be connected to the switching circuit and this process will be repeated. So we'll see here. The upper current sources supplies a constant current to the capacitor and capacitor voltage increases linearly, and when the positive slope of the ramp voltage reaches the upper limit set by the internal circuit components, the Smith trigger changes its state. Next, the trigger circuit output becomes negative and reverse the condition of the current switch. The capacitor discharges linearly controlled by the lower current source, and when the negative ramp reaches a predetermined lower level, the Smith trigger switches back to its original state. The entire process is then repeated. Next, the ratio of currents I1 and I2. I1 current is by upper current source and I2 current is by lower current source. Determines the duty cycle and is controlled by the symmetric control. As we have already discussed, symmetric control is used for varying the duty cycle. Next, the sum of the currents I1 and I2 is used to determine the frequency. The size of the capacitor is selected by the multiplier switch. So based on the frequency, we can vary the ramp capacitor by using the multiplier. Next, the unit is powered by an internal supply that provides regulated voltages for all the stages of the instrument. Internally, we are having the regulated power supply which supplies power for all the stages of the instrument. So this is about the pulse and square wave generator. Yeah. For last, coming to the output session of the pulse and square wave generator, the output of Smith trigger will be given either to the trigger circuit or 600 ohm output or 50 ohm output. So when it is given to the trigger output, now the trigger output differentiates the square wave output from the Smith trigger and inverts the resulting pulse and provides a positive triggering pulse. So how we are changing the uh, how we are inverting is with the help of the trigger polarity is used to provide the negative triggering pulse to the positive pulse. We are having a trigger polarity which is used for inverting the negative pulses to the positive pulses. So this is about the pulse and square wave generators. Next, now moving to the sweep generator. Sweep generator is used to provide a sinusoidal output voltage whose frequency varies smoothly and continuously over an entire frequency band, usually at an audio rate. So this sweep generator is providing the sinusoidal output voltage where the frequency can be varied over an entire frequency band. Next, where do we use the sweep generators? Sweep generators are, we use them for producing the varying sweep voltage to drive the horizontal deflection plates of the cathode ray oscilloscope. Next, the output of a sweep voltage will be modulated, a frequency modulated wave will be generated, and this frequency modulation can be done either electronically or mechanically. It can be done electronically by using the modulating voltage, which is used to vary the capacitance of the reactance of the oscillator tank circuit, and mechanically by using a motor driven capacitor. So this is the block diagram of a sweep generator. So in this block diagram of a sweep generator, we are having RF master oscillator and amplifier, next marker generator, frequency sweeper, level control circuit and output attenuator. Same here also. On the front panel, we are having the range switch where we can change the range of the frequencies, and we are also having the manual frequency control. This knob is used for manually varying the frequency of the waveform generated. Next, here we have a frequency sweeper. So this frequency sweeper produces the modulating voltage to the RF master oscillator. When this voltage is supplied to the RF master oscillator, the reactance of the oscillator tank circuit will change the frequency. Next. So here it is generating a sweep rate of 20 sweeps per second. Next. This sweep frequency sweeper is also producing the sweep voltage, which is used for driving the horizontal deflection plates of the CRO. Next. We are having a marker generator which is used to identify the intervals of the frequency. Next. Here we are having an output level control circuit, which is a feedback circuit which is used for controlling the RF output level. Next. As you all know, output attenuator is used for attenuating the level of the output in a way that the entire waveform can be displayed in the display meter. Now we'll see about it. So I'm repeating again. The frequency sweeper provides a variable modulating voltage which causes the capacitance of the master oscillator to vary, and it produces a sweep rate in the order of 20 sweeps per second, and we are also having a manual control which allows the independent adjustment of the oscillator resonant frequency. Next, the frequency sweeper provides a varying sweep voltage in order to synchronize the and drive the horizontal deflection plates of the CRO. As we all know, in the CRO we have horizontal deflection plates and vertical deflection plates. So in the horizontal deflection plates of the CRO, we are measuring the time period, and on the vertical plates we are representing the amplitude, right? So when the sweep frequency voltage is given to the horizontal deflection plates, we are locking it to the horizontal deflection plates. So for that particular voltage, we are locking on the horizontal deflection plates. When we are locking it on the horizontal deflection plates, we are synchronizing the amplitude to the time period. Again here, how we are indicating the time? By using the time marker generator. Next. Thus the amplitude of the response of a test device will be logged and displayed on the screen. Next. To identify a frequency interval, we are having a marker generator. Yes. Now we have locked the amplitude of the waveform which is to be displayed on the screen, right? Now we are coming to the time period. So to identify a frequency interval, we are having a marker generator as we have discussed in the block diagram. So it provides half sinusoidal waveforms at any frequency within the sweep range. So the marker voltage can be added to the sweep voltage of the CRO during the alternate cycles of the sweep voltages and appear superimposed on the response curve. Next. The automatic level control circuit is a closed loop feedback system which is used for monitoring the RF level at some point in the measuring system, and this is also used to hold the power delivered to the load or test circuit and independent of frequency and impedance changes. Next. A constant power level prevents any source mismatch and also provides a constant readout calibration with the frequency. So this is about the sweep generator. So in this session we have discussed about the pulse and square wave generator and sweep generator. Thank you.